Yes, and prayer, I think, is quite often misunderstood. For many years I would pray, but it was very sporadic and not well planned. What I'm about to describe is a very common pattern I'm sure many of us follow. I know for sure I did. You go about your life, something bad happens, you pray for it to be alleviated. Months go by, and another situation rises up. You get on your knees, pray for it to go away, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Nevertheless, you ask God for help, and you have an expectation that He will help you. But if He doesn't, you begin to question His love. See the problem with this? We turn God into a spiritual ATM. We go to Him in our need, but we don't bother thanking Him or simply devote time to converse with Him. I think for many of us, we don't really know how to hear God's voice. We don't know what steps to take to build our relationship with God. We feel like there's no guidance. But the good news is, there are tons and tons of ways to know how. While there are many methods to follow, I'm going to share with you lessons taught specifically by both St. Ignatius of Loyola, founder of the Jesuit order, and St. Teresa of Avila, doctor of the Church. They are pretty straightforward and easy to start as soon as today. Here are 6 steps to take to have a consistent prayer life. Step 1. Be in the state of grace. This means you do an examination of conscience daily and go to confession. The next steps are not going to bear much fruit if you don't have sorrow for sins and a purpose of amendment. Step 2. Limit exposure to media, especially the TV and movies affecting your imagination. This is crucial to developing a prayer life. The following steps involve using your faculties of imagination, and if there's too much imagery, it will affect your ability to focus and think. I suggest going on a media fast for 1 week before beginning the mental prayer I'm about to describe. Step 3. Pick a specific place and time to converse with God, preferably somewhere quiet for at least 30 minutes. Jesus would often go to the same places with His apostles to pray, either on the mountains or in the Garden of Gethsemane. Having a consistent place of prayer will turn it more into a habit. Step 4. Read a gospel passage and place yourself in the scene. Ask yourself these questions: who, what, where. Get clear picture of what is going on in the scene. Step 5. Imagine yourself having a conversation with a person in the particular scene. Lastly, step 6. Speak from the heart and ask God to speak to you through this gospel passage. At first glance, this may almost seem kind of childish. Do you really want me to imagine myself walking down the Sea of Galilee with Jesus? Or to imagine myself at the foot of the cross during the crucifixion? Yes, and yes, the key here is to not speak too much. It's to speak very little and allow God to speak to you. I didn't believe this was so simple until I tried it, and now it's a daily habit. Things would come to me that I never particularly thought of. I recommend doing this in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, after saying the Rosary. I highly recommend using these books, Introduction to the Devout Life by St. Francis de Sales, and Conversation with Christ by St. Teresa of Avila for more detailed instruction on this, and to give you good pointers for this type of prayer.